Born in West Siang district, Arunachal Pradesh, Jarjum Ete is a social activist in the state who is undeterred and unafraid. Born of the Galo community, she was married off at the age of 17.
Ours has been an arranged marriage. Way back in 1979. We got married in 80. So journey has been like that. And she was a free bird, so I had to take along. That's the life. There have been, of course, issues, little problems. In our society, especially in earlier days, people expected a couple or the female partner to behave in a slightly domesticated way, and she, maybe others will also agree, she did not exactly conform that image. So people used to say things. All my life I have always wanted the women to go forward. Jarjum, as my wife, I have always wanted that she should shine in whatever she does.
But her passion for education motivated her to pursue her dreams further. She joined Arunachal Pradesh Women's Welfare Society in 1985 and served as first chairperson of Arunachal Pradesh State Commission on Women from 2005 to 2008. Later on, she was appointed as the General Secretary of All India Mahila Congress. In 2019, Jarjum made a history by being the first lady from Arunachal to contest in Lok Sabha election. Despite her defeat in the election, Jarjum Gamlin Ete continues to speak against the unjust and disparities of our society and supports the youth of the state with her intrepid personality and impeccable words. She is Jarjum Gamlin Ete.
Hello, Ani.
Hi.
Welcome to Breakthrough.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here in the studio.
So am I.
So how are you?
I have been waiting for months.
I'm sure. So you came all the way from Alo just to be here with us.
Yes.
We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And how is everyone back home?
All good.
So yes, Ani, you have been associated with Arunachal Pradesh Women Welfare Society for now more than 3 decades. And recently you have celebrated your 43rd Foundation Day. Looking back, are you happy at the place we are now in terms of polygamy, child marriage, and domestic abuse?
Well, changes, especially social changes, take time. But changes have happened, and for good, so far as I can recall. And yes, it was our 43 years of Arunachal Pradesh Women's Welfare Society. In terms of polygamy, or for that matter child marriage, things have been quite dynamic. As a mother, if I have to look at them, I would say not much has changed, in terms of our aspirations, because we want more changes, but that's not happening. And if we say child marriages, like earlier times in the past, parents used to arrange the marriage.
Right.
And they used to at least try and see that the girl is secure in the in-laws' place and things like that. Of course, there have been cases where young girls and young boys have been forced into a unwanted marriage. But in today's context, minors, adolescents are still getting into relationships. They are getting into unwanted pregnancies. So the meaning of child marriage had changed. The problem is still there on hands, and it's much more. It's much more, especially due to overexposure in the internet times. Then in terms of polygamy, in the past, the traditional situations, women were looked at as extra hands to work in the fields or till the fields and look after homes. Today, they are more like status symbols. How many wives a man can afford or keep. So, and those days, women didn't have a say most often about getting into a marriage or into a family with many wives. In today's context, very unfortunately, even educated, economically, financially independent girls and young women also choosing to get married to already married men. So, the problem continues in different kind of shades and forms.
Talking about child marriage, in one of our earlier conversation, you said when you were still very young, you saw a little girl being dragged out from her house to get her married. And seeing that, you started building stones to save her. True. So if we look back at your life, Annie, from an early age, you have fought against inequality in our society. So can you just share with us how much of influence your family had on your evolution as a feminist and as a social activist? And if I may add, especially your father, who is a well-regarded person in your community.
Well, my father was also a typical patriarch. Nevertheless, he had made sure that me and my sister also got equal opportunities to schooling, and he was a political interpreter. So that way, through his association, we also got exposed to the problems on hands, especially marital problems like child marriages and forced marriages, polygamy. There used to be lots of cases and victims staying with us or our parents talking about them. So you got some idea about the kind of problems that those young women were going through. But of course, as little girls, there was not much one could do. But the kind of opinions they shared or concerns they expressed on particular cases, perhaps unconsciously, it added some perspectives to our growing minds, and that way I think sensitization on these issues might have happened without us expressly realizing or getting actively involved in all those cases. And having a strong mother that my mother is and was at that point of time had a very kind of definitive influence on how perhaps we shaped up as children of our parents.
It is often argued that the patriarchy system prevalent in our society is quite different from the patriarchy elsewhere in the country. Do you agree with that notion? If yes, why?
Well, patriarchy is patriarchy, all said and done. There may be variations and a little difference here and there. Patriarchy all over has generally been found to be feudalistic and misogynistic. Even for many men who may not be physically or politically strong, it is to their detriment. So I personally don't think that it's a good idea to differentiate patriarchy. It is patriarchy and anti-human.
On that note, we are going to take a short break. Welcome back to Breakthrough in conversation with Jarjum Ete. Yes, so coming back to our conversation, this year, the Supreme Court, they have recognized prostitution as a profession, which entitles dignity and constitutional rights. How much do you think that this court decision will impact the nation as a whole, in our state in particularly, since you are one of the few voices who has been raising concern on these issues for now quite some decades?
If a man or a woman seeks prostitution as a profession or an occupation or a source of sustainable, dignified livelihood, it is a choice that the person is exercising. It is one progressive judgment. Controversies will abound, like many other issues where there are changes proposed in an established institution or in terms of established values, social values and moorings. But even in Arunachal, since the 80s, when I had come down as a young woman for the first time, we heard about prostitution, and very interestingly, we also heard about pimps. We also heard about very respectable people who are the customers of those pimps and prostitutes. But we never had a red light area, earmarked for the
A zone just for this?
For a particular, a location or locality for sex workers. And I think the tribal society has been quite liberal that way and fair, that despite the fact that many people were identified as sex workers or prostitutes, after some time we have seen them being kind of accepted by the society at large into the larger frame of work, frame of the society, and being in respectable positions as wives and mothers and sisters-in-law or aunts, or that kind of discrimination has not been there once the person has been rehabilitated into the larger society. It should be also about revenue generation. It should be also concerned about the health care of the service providers and also the people who are being served.
In one of your earlier interview, you wrote that paging has given you the exposure of sexuality of women. I would want you to elaborate more, since we as a society, we are still not comfortable talking about our sexuality. So if you can just elaborate a bit.
In terms of sexuality, we as an organization, or even me as an individual, we are not getting an opportunity to look at that, how individual women or men, how they were dealing with their sexual identity or their reproductive rights. I myself, I wanted to have just 2 babies. Then my in-laws, my parents, they said, no, tribal society, 1 boy is not enough, So I said, okay, if I have a 3rd baby, then I better have 4th one, because then I'll have in pairs. And fortunately, by God's grace, I have 2 girls and 2 boys. So we didn't have kind of, a right over our own body. The society decided, our families decided how many children you wanted, yes, or you have to have. And then when I landed in Beijing, and there we had the gay parade, like, LGBT parade. Yes. And that was the first time I said, okay, my God, it's so wonderful. Like, you're so accepting. And the diversity of sexuality also. Like, Of course, everyone is human, and you are born with that innate difference, and then the society trying to impose uniformity or homogeneity, just as man and woman, whereas a woman can be a man, in the garb of in the physical this thing of a female. She can also be a man, and a man can also be a woman, in his body as a man. So those kind of differences, like you are so kind of enlightening, because we here had I had never had the opportunity to read those literature or listen to those kind of discourses or lectures here. So, but Beijing did give me an opportunity to kind of look at how sexuality is also a very important aspect of our human society, where people have to acknowledge each other as they are or they want to be.
Ani, we have a very special video to show to you. She is Nisha Mepo, the youngest Gram Panchayat chairman. Okay. You will love listening to her. Please take a look.
Okay. Hi, my name is Nisha Mepo. I am 23 years old and I come from the mesmerizing hills of Dibang Valley. And I am currently serving as the Gram Panchayat chairperson of a small block that is Italy HQ. I never had any plans to be in politics. My father gave me a call and he was like, hey, do you want to be in politics? And I mean, I was surprised, like, why would my dad want me to join in politics? But then I see that, there is a reason behind this. Like, people say politics is all about, for bad people or so and so thing. But then I feel on my part that if we want to see the change, we have to be the change. So with that motive, I took a baby step into politics. Politics का जो tenure है, it's only for 5 years, right? So I cannot be really, I cannot take this for granted. क्योंकि इसमें आपका, you need to have a political godfather. और आपका political godfather होता है तो it's easy for you. आप assured रह सकते हैं कि 10 साल के बाद भी आप politics करोगे. I get a lot of inspiration from Madam Jarjum Ete also. I have seen how she had voiced out opinion. In fact, when I was studying in St. Clair Zero, I've seen a lot of interview, like live interview that she was giving there, and I found her really vocal about things. So I feel that every woman, we should follow in that footsteps.
So few things that really caught my attention was the first one. She said it was her father who told her to join politics.
Invited her. And she already has an elder brother, and he is also educated one. But still then, her father wanted her to join the politics. So the father or any parent would know better which child would do better in which field. And I'm happy and really kind of glad that her father chose her, and I'm sure she deserved to be. At least from her eloquent articulation, she actually fits the bill of a public leader.
And I think we need more father like hers, because there are so many talented women in our society, but mostly the preference is given to the male issue. So I think we need more father also like hers. Anyway, again, one more point, she said was like, I'll come back to you, Ani, in this. Because even you yourself, you were in Congress Party since 2001.
2003.
2003, yes. So, and you have even served as the General Secretary of all India Mahila Congress Committee. After all this year, with your long association with the Congress, you were denied the party ticket in the year 2019. You have the credential, you have the qualification, you have the experience. So like Nisha said, do you really need a political godfather to make it in politics?
Not exactly godfather, but an organization that recognizes and acknowledges the capabilities of individual members. Any organization should be able to tap into the potentials of their workers or party leaders, or in whatever capacity, maybe from a village level worker, booth level worker, to the topmost position within the organization or in the larger public domain as representative of the party, to serve the people. Somehow that kind of organizational capacity, I think, has been missing in the Congress Party in Arunachal. Not all leaders or party leaders especially at the national level or in the state level, they are not actually there because they want to serve the people, the citizens or the country through the parties. They are there to for more vested interests, or to promote themselves, or to use the party positions for personal aggrandizement and personal privileges.
Is this one of the reasons, Ani, that in one of your interview you said that except for Madhav Rao, you don't find most of the political leader impressive?
Maybe, because the only interview that I had with Scindia was like an openness with the other person across the table, or the patience to listen to the opinion of the person who comes to seek your audience. That patience and the ability to kind of analyze or run through the person's concerns, those are quite rare in political leadership. And another interesting thing is many elders in political parties, especially in Arunachal, they don't seem to be comfortable with vocal people or articulate people, or people who are very candid in their expressions of opinions about organizational issues, or their concerns, sharing their concerns.
You find them intimidating?
Probably, or maybe they don't feel secure, for whatever reason. And for any political party, may it be BJP or NPP or INC or PPA or whichever political party in future also, if we are thinking about giving leadership or really kind of truly serving the interests of the people, there should be transparency and accountability in leadership also. And the younger generation need to be encouraged. Like, this young lady, yes, her father is giving her the opportunity because he has seen her potentials. And those are the kind of ways we have to scout for potential leaders. We have to groom them. We have to give them opportunities to be visible, to be seen in public domain, to kind of train their oratorial skills. There are lots of things to do for the younger generation, and every young person actually is a potential leader, as I see today.
Since we are in the topic of politics, Michelle Obama, another strong woman of substance, just came to my mind. I saw in one of her interviews, she said, if you are in politics, you get both the good and the venom too. So Can you share with us some of the good in the wisdom that you have experienced in your political career?
By the time I joined politics in political organization in 2003, I had grown thick-skinned. So brickbats, I didn't have any opportunity to be in power or positions of power, so that didn't come to me. Some misinformation, propaganda, people tried, but again, those who know me closely from my close associations and long-term association with the women's movement or the people's concerns in the state, they have always been there as my first line of defense.
Yes, Ani, like if you look at your life, almost 80% of your life you have given to our society. You have given your time, you have sacrificed your resources, you have given your knowledge. In fact, you have given, I think even as a mother, even I could understand. Every evening I go back home and I feel guilty looking at my children. Maybe I'm not giving enough time. And you being a feminist and a social activist from an early age, you must have sacrificed also your family for the social work and for the upliftment of the society and for the empowerment of the women. But when it came to for the people to give back to you their support in their mandate, it was very disappointing because when the result came out, the 2019 Lok Sabha election, when the result came out, you got only 40,919 votes. How painful was the result for you, Ani?
Well, I was prepared for the results, so it was not as painful as many people would have expected me to suffer. It was the betrayal of the leadership of the Congress party in the state and the AICC. In 2019, actually, there was practically no one in sight in the Congress party to fight the BJP and sitting MP Kiran sir. And having discussed it with the two potential seniors in the party, and both of them having said that they are not going to contest, so I had projected my candidacy and my interests, and the whole PCC was in support of my candidacy. Then finally, you are told that they wanted someone else and not you. I said, okay, good. You have it as you like it, and I'll have my way. Because I'm not only a congresswoman who's wanting to fight an election. I'm someone who has stood up for women's rights. Now, when we're spearheading the lobbying and the advocacy for implementation of the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act for implementation of the one-third reservation of seats for women in panchayats, people used to make fun of us and say, oh, okay, so these girls, these women, they are wanting to contest panchayat elections. When as activists or lobbyists we are asking for certain things, it's not as if you practically individually want to do it. But then at certain point of time, we also have to walk the talk. I don't say that I'm the best, but I'm as good as anyone else. I think I am capable of delivering the goods, yes, given the opportunity. So I said, why not me? And initially they used to say, you are too many from the family in the Congress party. So we used to say, but we can't wait till the other person dies or is killed because you want to contest an election and you don't want to join any other political party because you identify with the values that the INC stands for. So you are there, stuck with the party, and then finally you are said, okay, you are a good choice, but then you don't deserve the ticket. So okay, fine, good. So I was personally not shocked with the results because the Janata Dal Secular, the party of the former Prime Minister H.D. Devegowda, they gave me the platform when my own party, the INC, had denied me. So people who voted me, that 43,000
919.
919 that you talk of, they are people who cared for my leadership, who thought, given an opportunity, okay, this woman might be able to deliver it, and why, even if she loses, we'll support her. You know, that kind of support, voluntary supporters, they came out. Given an opportunity, people want good leaders. But the parties are not giving the opportunity to the people to choose from.
Yes. For you to perform.
Yes.
So with this, we'll take a short break.
Sure.
Welcome back to Breakthrough in conversation with Jarjum Ete. Yes, Ani, you were just saying you were denied the party ticket on the ground that so many of your family members are already in the politics. Ani, we all know that you are from a very illustrious family that was of chief minister, the cabinet minister, the ZPM. Do you feel that if you were a male child, things could have been different?
Possible, might have been. Of course, I never thought that way. But yeah, if I was a man, probably my political values might have been different also. And I would have been much more aggressive or manipulative, or the ways that most men in politics do.
And did you feel sad saying that, because you such a woman, like everyone looks up to you, because seeing the men around, I think like you are 10 men put together. But you yourself, you admit that maybe if you were a man, things could have been different.
No, it's kind of, checking out the possibilities, of which of course I never bothered. I have always said that I feel blessed to be a woman of my times. I feel privileged to have been born to my parents, among my siblings, and from the community that I come from, or the times that I was born. So I have never given a second thought about other possibilities. I have always found it as my, privilege, or my mission, or a calling, that you are there, so you do whatever you can do in your individual capacity, or whatever you can contribute. So in terms of my maternal responsibilities, I had to prioritize social mobilization for women's rights and concerns above my own children's immediate needs. I had to put them in boarding schools, and so that I could be able to give more time to the Arunachal Pradesh Women's Welfare Society works. And perhaps compromises were made, and it was a choice I made. And I never thought, if I was a father, or if I was my brothers. No, never.
Do you have any regrets now? You have given so much to the society that you have to even put your children in a boarding school. Now looking back, do you have any regrets?
Not really, because on one occasion when I told my kids, I'm so sorry kids, I haven't been like the other mothers that you get to see, your friends' mothers. And one of my kids say, are we bad kids? If we are bad, then perhaps your parenting was wrong. But if you find us as acceptable, okay kids, then you have been an okay parent. And so far as your contribution to society, we are very proud of you. even when they were in boarding schools, I did my best to be there whenever they needed me for a dental checkup or an eye checkup, or on their birthdays, on occasions when the school was having a cultural program or a school event. So it was not as if I would have been a better parent if they had stayed at home. So no regrets that way.
Since we are talking about parenting, Ani, I came all the way from Nagaland, and my mother also, she is such a strong lady, and in our place, she has been a president, she has been the general secretary of many organization, and when I told her I want to get married with an Arunachali, she was against the marriage, saying being the eldest daughter, I would want you to get married to our own people. There is nothing wrong or negative about me getting married to someone outside, or my mother was voicing her thoughts, but she was also against the marriage in the beginning, but later on, okay, she accepted, and now she is very happy. I know, Ani, you have got children who has married outside. So how was your reaction? How was your feeling?
I know the kind of, heartache that my mother suffered after my marriage. She herself having given me in marriage at an early age. So I also missed out on higher education as a young girl. But whatever education I could pursue after my marriage, my pre-university, my graduation, my post-graduation, was as a married woman, and as a young mother, as an activist, and everything rolled into one. So when I realized that both my girls are academically excelling and quite motivated, so I always told them, never look back. If you are interested, go ahead for your further studies before you settle down. So my eldest child, the firstborn, she was a National Talent Search Scholar, Sir Jagdish Bose Scholar after class 10, and she trained as an architect, and then she went for further studies in development studies from The Hague, Netherlands, and then she went for her PhD. So I was very happy, and then she said, okay, there's this young man from Germany who wants to marry me. He has proposed. So I said, nothing doing. I have nothing against love or marriage, but Arunachal needs educated women, people with more exposures to come back and give back to the society. So I said, we can always find you a boy here. But my husband said, she's a grown-up girl, and if she has found someone to fall in love with, let her be happy. And the kids in the family, they teased me, you are a women's rights activist and you are not supporting your daughter's choice to marry someone she's in love with. So I said, okay, fine. And of course she said, if
you have to walk the talks.
Yeah. So my daughter said, if Arunachali society is open to the idea of an educated, son-in-law, brother-in-law to come and contribute to the growth in Arunachal, so I can always invite my husband to come and help. So even as a mother, I realized in my daughter's marriage outside India, I was also trying to figure out that, I'm losing one person who's well-trained, well-educated to the larger world, and who could have actually contributed to the building of the Arunachali, society. So even in the recent, meeting that celebrations of Arunachal Pradesh Women's Welfare Society, she wished me and said, okay, all the best. So I said, you are also of age now. If you are in Arunachal, you would have been able to contribute. Yeah. So she said, I'm still willing to contribute. So that way, like, it's kind of, parenting also is transactional.
From what you have said, I think, Andy, you don't miss the daughter. I think you miss the talent in your daughter more than the daughter.
Yeah, thanks to the modern technology, IT and all, we get to have, more FaceTimes, I think, with her and her children. Then my kids who are at home. At times, I may be missing my children for breakfast or dinner or lunch, but then once in a while, I get to talk to my kids, my grandchildren out there and chat with, make it mandatory to check on her, how are you doing, like, how's life, things like that. So I think information technology has brought us closer.
And one thing, Annie, I really like is that every time I meet you, you're always taking out time to meet your mother. I really, really appreciate that. I just remember, while talking about this, Nelson Mandela once said, you cannot have an impact on the society if you don't change yourself. Annie, can you tell me how much you feel that you have changed yourself so that you can have an impact on our society?
I think my good fortune has been that I haven't had to change anything about me since my childhood. And I really kind of, never consciously tried to assess myself if I've changed or not. But when I meet my childhood friends, my school friends, college friends, they say, you have not changed. So I said, okay, I don't change. So I think that way, as I said earlier, kind of, I think the inculcation of values from a young age was helpful, so that I didn't ever need to change myself or my outlooks.
So when it comes to you, the Nelson Mandela thing doesn't apply to you?
Yeah, so far, if I have been able to contribute anything to the society, it has been through the moorings that I had since my, I think, younger days. So
yes, Annie, like we all know, like you had your own ups and downs. In fact, you had a very extremely interesting life. You have seen Arunachal, change, and you have been also a part of the political, socio-cultural change, of being actively involved. Apart from all this, can you just share with us that one breakthrough moment that has played an important role in the making of Jarjum Ete, that is of, that we see today?
I think I am not always on a reflective mode, but when I hit 40 years, that was way back in 2002, my husband asked me, so now that you are 40, how do you look at your life? And the way you have led it and the efforts that you have made. So that was one moment of reflection, which actually was compelled on me. And I thought, like, taking responsibility when no one has thrusted it on you, but taking it as a calling, because you are there, you are more privileged than most others, you are better empowered than many people, around you. So it was not like, you have been elected to deliver something, but you chose to kind of, take on the responsibility that no one has entrusted or thrusted upon you. And so that way, reflection, if you ask me, I think I was there at the right time and the right platform and the opportunity.
So, Adi, we are coming to an end of our conversation. Is there any special message you would like to share with our viewers?
At this time of the year, when we are celebrating the end of the year that was, and looking forward to the new year, 2023, the Christmas bells, especially for the believers of Christ, I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas and a very happy New Year 2023. After these pandemic times where life has been quite depressive for many people, we have hope to look forward to. We have prayers and best wishes for everyone, and looking forward to a healthy and happy New Year. Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ani, so much. But before that, we want to present you this with a gift hamper.
Oh my God.
So here, all the products are from Arunachal.
Okay.
We have kamti rice, there's some
Okay.
spices. All these are from Arunachal spices.
Okay.
Then we have cookies from E&Ks.
Wow.
Yes, and we are putting tea.
Okay.
And this postcard is by our renowned artist, Okin.
Okay.
So this is for you, Ani.
Okay.
I want you to enjoy this
Thank you so much.
in the Christmas
Thank
time.
you.